Ruston, it's Dewey Bragg with Kill Devil Hill. How are you, man?
Oh, hey, Dewey. I was wondering what happened to you tonight. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Just up here in Seattle, freezing my tail off. That's about it.
You guys are tearing up the Pacific Northwest right now. El Corazon tonight, I think Portland or Roseland tomorrow or something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's nice up here. Portland, we were in Oregon. Now we're in Seattle. It's freezing, too, man. Trying to keep from getting sick. It's kind of hard to sing when you're not feeling well, but, doing the best I can do.
I know the feeling. I'm going through it myself right now. So I want to talk about the new album, obviously, Revolution Rise. But before we get to that, I got a chance to talk to Vinny last year, and I talked to Rex last year. And they're so well known. There's so much backstory there, but not a lot of people know a whole lot about you yet. So I was wondering if maybe we could go back a little bit, backtrack, and just maybe find out your path to music. Was there sort of a moment of epiphany for you when you were coming up and you said, this is what I want to do, whether it was an album or a performance that you saw, or?
Well, honestly, it's my dad was a country singer a long time ago, and before he passed away, and that's really where it all started. And then I started growing up, and I was I listened to Queensryche when I was young, and I listened to started getting into Iron Maiden somewhere in time. That's when I first kind of caught on to the music. And, I always listened to country music. My dad listened to Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and all that. And, I wanted to play drums, and I wanted my mom to buy me a drum kit, and she wouldn't do it. She's like, there's no way in hell we're going to listen to that all day long. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, well, I got to do something. So I started singing, I just started taking lessons, I in the 6th and 7th grade started taking choir, and then this first band that I was in, the Mackey Brothers, their mother was an opera teacher, and she said that she said, if you come every day after school, I'll give you a 30-minute lesson every day. That was in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The school was one building, and I used to go there every day because it was the school, and then her house was right next door. I got a class and run down there, and she'd teach me something, every day. And then eventually I started catching on doing it myself, and just, kept practicing and practicing and practicing. And then, that's pretty much how it all came about, to be honest with you. Pretty simple.
Nice. And, when people are singers, especially when you're coming up, you're trying to find your own voice, obviously. But were there one or two people that you maybe tried to emulate when you were trying to find your own style and sound?
Well, not really. I just started getting into music. I was speaking in my brother's room and looking at his Kiss records and, Ozzy records, and I was listening to those, and I kind of listened to everything, I love everything from Miles Davis' Bitches Brew to Black Sabbath, Slayer, and Pantera was one of my biggest influences in growing up. That was kind of a turning point for me. But like I said, Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche was like, wow, I was really into Jeff Tate, because I was like, that was really cool what he was doing back then. And I took that, and then when I heard Pantera, I started leaning more into the heavier stuff. And that's, Phil was a big influence too, man. I must say, I knew Phil when I was a younger kid, and Alice in Chains, Lane Staley, funny you mentioned that 'cause we're in Seattle, where Lane's from, and he was one of my biggest influences. I loved his voice, always have and always will.
Well, a lot of people have always said, while you've been doing this Kill Devil Hill stuff especially, that they really pick up on some of that Lane Staley vibe in your delivery and everything. So, that's obviously an honor.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is, and I'm not trying to go out of my way to sound like anybody. I'm just trying doing what I do, and, I got to give it to the guys that paved the way, because if it wasn't them, I wouldn't be here right now, and it's an honor to be playing with Vinny and Rex, being in the bands that they were in, Sabbath and Pantera, and, Dio. I mean, what more can I say about that,
Absolutely. You probably still pinch yourself at least once or twice a day. But so
every night. I tell you, man, every night I turn around when Rex first auditioned for the band, he put bass on War Machine, and I was on the 405 freeway, and I had to pull all the way over and park the car when the bass came in. I was like, holy Christ. I was floored by that sound because I grew up listening to Pantera, and having that bass tone on my right-hand side every night, it's just amazing. And having Vinny, it's an honor. It really is. It really is.
Well, and
couldn't ask for anything else.
Well, it's amazing listening to the new record, which I want to talk about here in a second. It's, obviously Vinny and Rex do so much on that album. The bass especially is just booming on that thing, and it's really hard to produce a really good quality bass sound and get it to come out right on record. And you guys, Pilson's obviously a bass player, so, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
But
Jeff Pilson's just amazing person to work with. I hope that I can work with him again in the future. Love that guy. Love him to death.
Absolutely, and Jay Ruston did an incredible job on the mixing, too, but...
Jay Ruston, that guy is just phenomenal at what he does, man. Phenomenal. I couldn't say anything else about him except he's just amazing.
But I got to
truly amazing.
You can't take anything away from Vinny or Rex because they are just phenomenal at what they do. But I got to tell you, on this new album, Revolution Rise, you and Mark really sort of steal the show. His riffs, his guitar playing, and your voice has just become so much stronger. It just blows everything right over the top.
Yeah, it all fell into place. This whole record, there was no struggles whatsoever. It all just fell in place the way it should have been. It was so easy to write. The lyrics were easy to write. I've been through a lot in the last 10 months of my life, and this whole record truly tells the story of what I've been through in the last 10 months of my life. And, it's just, this record came together so easily, and, we all couldn't be pleased, any more than we already are. We're really, really thankful that we have this record on our belt. A lot of people were like, you guys going to be able to top that first one. And we really wasn't thinking about trying to top it. We just wanted to do what we do. And, we were all, once it was over, we sat back and we all looked at it like, this thing's pretty good. It's a pretty good record. So I just hope that the fans enjoy it as much as we do,
Well, the first album was incredible, and they put together a lot of these so-called supergroups and everything, and they barely, I said in my review, there's usually barely enough decent material to get through one album, and then after that it's all gone. But you guys clearly came in not as a supergroup. You were just four great musicians who came together. You put together an awesome album, then of course lost the record label, and you immediately got picked up by Century Media. Tell me how that came together.
That we owe a lot of that to our manager, Eric Loveclass. He worked his tail off to get us that deal, and we couldn't be happier to be a part of Century Media. We hope to have a long-lasting relationship with those guys. They've worked their tails off at that label to help us, and we couldn't be pleased. We were so happy to be with those guys. That's how it came about. It worked out. So, President Don and Eric were talking, and it all worked out, man. Everything fell into place, and normally that could be a huge struggle to get jump from one label to another, and then people are like, oh, well, they're done. All the critics are like, they're not going to be able to do this. They're not going to be able to talk the first record. They're not going to find a deal. Blah 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 blah. And we were able to do that, and we delivered a great record, and the rest speaks for itself.
Well, is there a story behind the title to the album, Revolution Rise?
To be honest with you, I'll tell you something. I wanted to call it Where Angels Dare to Roam. That was more of Mark and Rex, I believe. They wanted to do Revolution Rise. I really couldn't. I kind of, after about the 100,000th email, I kind of bowed out on that one. So there is a song that we have. It's on the digital download called Revolution Rise, and I really couldn't tell you what it's about. It's you just have to listen. I always say it's best for the listener to interpret the song for themselves, because depending on how they feel at that moment in time when they're listening to that song, that's how they're going to interpret. So that's how I feel about that.
Absolutely. So now you guys came together, and the first album came together pretty quickly. But you guys were still sort of getting to know each other. You guys went out on the road, did a shit ton of touring, and as Rex and Vinny both said, every night they could hear you getting more and more powerful, more and more comfortable. So when you guys got ready to write this record, not only were you a more solid, tight-knit unit, you were better in all aspects. Did it change? How did the songwriting process work for this record?
Well, we all actually did it collectively. We went into rehearsal, and we would rehearse for 3 days. I mean, when we started writing, 3 days before we went into the studio, we had some riffs. That's all we had. So we went in 3 days, we wrote 3 songs, we went to Jeff, recorded 3 songs, and then we'd take a week off, and then Mark would send me some riffs with some drum machine stuff on it, and I'd start writing to that, and then we would go to the rehearsal and do 3 more days of rehearsal, write 3 more songs, and then we'd go to Jeff. They would record it, and of course that was just the music portion of it.
Right.
And then once there was like 6 songs done, I went to my studio at my house, and I just started, just put the headphones on, and I would go in and just record on Pro Tools and just start getting melodies and start writing lyrics, and just I'd have a bunch of lyrics and a bunch of melodies, and I'd always come in and they'd be like, wow, it all just fell into place. And then, Mark writes. Mark is a great songwriter, so him and I worked together a lot on the lyrics too. So, it all just came together really easily, man. That's pretty much how that happened.
So from your perspective, how does this album contrast in your eyes from the first album?
Well, you can tell that we've grown as a band. You can see that there's a lot of honesty and there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this record, as where the first one was kind of done individually. We wasn't really in the pocket as much as we are with this one. So I think, as like you were saying earlier, we've grown as a band, and it just kind of fell into place. And I just think you can tell the depth, you can tell the weight of the record. When you put it on and you hear No Way Out, you're like, whoa, you're not expecting to hear that come right out of the gates like that, you know what I mean? Which I wanted to do on the first record. Sorry for sniffling, I'm just a little under the weather.
It's okay. I feel bad for stealing your voice a little before the show tonight.
No, it's okay. I've been sleeping for 2 days and been, hitting the throat coat and doing the things that the singers have to do. And, if we get sick, there's nothing we can do except deal with it. So that's the only downfall about being a vocalist. You just have to, you got to go to roll with it to get rolled over. Don back there will say.
well, we'll keep it.
But yeah, we did it. We did the record collectively, and I think that shows without speaking. You listen to the first record, it's killer, and you listen to the second record, and it's even, you can just tell the depth and weight of it that we've shaped up.
And so before we get out of here, just a couple more quick questions for you. On every album,
Sure.
There's always 1 or 2 songs that always have like a unique story behind them. I mean, I know they're all different, but usually something happens in the coming together, or there's a deep meaning behind one, or the studio caught on fire while you're recording one. Were there 1 or 2 tracks like that for this album?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Were there 1 or 2 tracks like that for this album that really have a story behind them that you can share?
Well, I'll be honest with you, every one of them has that story. I mean, like I said, the last, year of my life I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot of ups and downs, and I'll be honest with you, if you listen to the lyrics on each song, they all have their own individual story, and they're true, honest lyrics that I've lived, and they each have their own individual right, So I would have to say every one of them. And I think that's what makes this record what it is, because it's true, honest life stories. It's not all fabricated,
Well, I have to ask, because I don't have the physical record in my hand to see the songwriting credits and everything, but Endless Static almost has a feel like Jeff himself was involved in the songwriting process, because it has a bit of a Dokken undercurrent to it. Did he get involved in any of the songwriting? It does
a little bit. Those lyrics were written by Mark. He wrote that song. So that would be a question for Mark. Leave It All Behind is. I would say Leave It All Behind is one that I've been through some personal struggles in my life, and And that song is hard for me to listen to sometimes. It brings tears to my eyes. I'll be honest with you. It's just really hard for me. But I'm glad that I was able to get that song out of my system, and live a better life now. And the heartbreaks of a relationship and personal struggles. It's sometimes it's good to get that stuff out. So I would have to say leave it all behind, and also life goes on. That's another one.
Nice. They sort of go hand in hand there. So
they do actually, yeah.
You guys are out on the road right now up until Thanksgiving. Before you get a quick break, how much of the new album are you guys? How much of the new album are you guys playing each night?
We are playing almost every song off the new record except Stained Glass Sadness. We're not playing Endless Static. And if you haven't heard, at the end of the record, After Life Goes On, there's a little bonus track, a little surprise track, a personal song that I wrote a long time ago. It's called Dark. Mm-hmm. And that's one song that we're not playing, which is not even listed on the record. You just got to let it play through. It's kind of a surprise, track at the end, just piano and singing. So
nice.
Which I wanted to put on the first record, but it didn't make it. But I think it fits well with this record. So I'm very happy that song made it on this record. And I tell you, man, if we could just keep getting the fans behind this record, I'm telling you right now that this album could do really good. And I truly believe that if there's one song that you don't like on this record, just let it play, because there will be a song that you will like on this record. I just know it.
Absolutely.
Coming from a fan's perspective too, because I love music, and
absolutely. There's a ton of great stuff on this album, and I think it's going to be one of the best albums of the year when all is said and done. So before we get out of here,
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, what's going on with Years of Cold?
Years of Cold. Well, that's funny. I just talked to Matt and Caesar. Right now, we're just taking a little break. We got new material. We got about 10 songs done musically. I got to write some more lyrics. We're going to I'm thinking probably December, because we're Kill Double Hill's taking off from December, and we're going to try to finish up another EP of about 6 to 8 songs. So there's definitely going to be some more Years of Cold, and I got to give a shout out to those guys. I love those guys to death. They've been waiting around, and I feel terrible that they're waiting. But Caesar and Matt are long-time friends of mine from Pitching Razors, and but there's definitely going to be some more Years of Cold, without a doubt.
Excellent. And our pointless question of the week: if you could be on any television series, either as yourself or as a character, what would it be?
Oh, let's see. What would it be? Let me think. Man, I would have to say, damn, that's a good question. Good question. Oh, what is it? See, I don't watch TV anymore, but there's that one show that I can't think of the name of, but I watch every now and again. Now that you've asked me, I can't think of the name of it. Oh, let's see. What's it called? The biker show.
Oh,
what is
Sons
it?
of
Help me
Anarchy.
out.
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. God, I just kicked myself in the ass when I remember that. I'd love to be on that show, man. Just be in the background somewhere, hanging out, whatever. And I got the beard for it. I figured,
Absolutely.
They probably won't have me now that I can't remember the name of the show. I like that, huh? That's pretty good. Oh, God.
Absolutely. Well, Rusty Coons from Attica 7 did a stint on the show for a little while. So
yeah. We just saw Evan too, and he. I think I was talking to him about that. He was on the show, so he was on that, which was really cool. Really cool. I'll be Yosemite Sam, the cartoon. That's what I'd be.
So our last question, pay it forward. Is there an unsigned band out there that you've come across in your travels that you really think people should take notice of?
Man, I'll tell you right now, I think Blackwater Rising's one of the best bands I've heard in a really long time. Those guys are badass, and if you haven't heard them, you need to listen to them. They're on tour with us. They are smoking. Nice. Blackwater Rising.
Awesome. Perfect. Dewey, thanks so much. You guys have a great show tonight. Be safe on the road, and we'll see you hopefully when you get to my neck of the woods.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Nice talking to you. Sorry I was late, man.
Not a problem. Take care, brother.